Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Baer with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. All right, welcome to episode 78 of CPG Vibes. We are dressed with no logos, no hat. You do have a logo. Okay, I saw the black on the top and I didn't even realize that there was a logo on there. So you have a logo, and that is?
Grown as Mac. David Delcourt.
Yep. They got their delicious mac and cheese, and also they have the original one and the truffle. You can see the macaroni with the sunglasses on store shelves near you. Just launched nationally in Sprouts. So congratulations, David Delcourt. Just spoke to him today, actually, just catching up on a few things. So make sure to go buy that. See, you send us shirts, you send us stuff. We're going to talk about your brand. That's how it works.
We actually wear the stuff, right?
We actually wear. You're not just wearing it when you go to sleep because they're comfortable. You're wearing it on the show itself.
That's right.
Yeah, but I got to say, the Weird Water shirt, did you get those?
Is it something weird is coming or something like that?
Yeah, something weird is happening.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, I do.
And that's the theme of every conversation that I go into, especially in a public setting where things get really weird when I'm part of a conversation. So it makes sense for me to wear that shirt, but it's literally one of the most comfortable shirts
it is
I've ever worn. It's like silk. You can cook it and eat it. That's how freaking smooth this thing is. It's like pasta, it's like linguine. So
that's
anyway, that's getting weird right there. See, that's an example. So if you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, we are actually running a little short on sponsors right now. Wade and I are not, don't have as much bandwidth to go out and find all these great sponsors. We're getting a few here and there. So come on, guys, support us, but also support your brand. You get out to hundreds of people live and thousands on Apple Podcasts. It's a great deal, $350 intro deal to be a sponsor on CPG Vibes. Kind of a no-brainer, right, Wade?
Absolutely. I can't think of a better way to spend your effort and time and money than to sponsor the show. But there's the link, or just in the chat to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. We certainly would appreciate it. And along with that, if you haven't already, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. I think we're at, I don't know, we're over 100, 110. We're
110, like the freeway, the freeway in LA.
Exactly. And if you give us 5 stars, you can leave a written review if you'd like. Just hit the 5 stars if you don't want to do a written review, and also subscribe. That just helps us out and gets more visibility to the show when you're doing search engines, all that stuff. I don't need to go into great detail. You get it. Just follow, subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Well said. And I'll say this too, that it's really important that we need to dress up the show even more. Not dress up as people, because we're cool the way we are, right?
Absolutely.
But we want to get some backdrops. We want to get more. There's little echoes, when I talk or Wade talks. Soundproofing walls. We want to up also just the camera work and the lighting. There's things we want to do to upgrade this. So right now we're basically on a college team and we're prepping to go pro, but we need some sponsorship also internally with our show to go pro and get this to this mass level to help the CPG community. So that's
I was going to say, we're willing to play in Europe for a couple of years before we get the big NBA contract, right?
Exactly.
We'll start over there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if we're going to play anything, it's soccer, because Mbappe, did you hear about his contract that he got offered?
I did. It's amazing, isn't it?
$1 billion from the Saudis for soccer, and he got offered $1 billion to play for, I think, the United Arab Emirates, I believe, or at least a team within that region, or I'm not sure of the exact details. And then Tiger Woods was offered $1 billion to play with Live Golf, which again, there's a merger now. Rory McIlroy, $400 million. So it's crazy what's going on. We're going to talk about everything here, but let's get back on the tracks here on the CPG tracks. We're going to welcome our guest here. Wade, I'm going to let you do the honors as far as name, product, brand, everything. Go ahead.
Love it. Yeah, we've got. Am I going right into it? Or are we bringing them in?
Or I'm gonna, while you're talking, I'm gonna start the music.
Got it.
Okay. And then at the very end of when you intro him, I'm gonna pop him up here.
Love it. So we've got Noah Wunsch. And if I butchered your name, Noah, let me have it when you get in the show. But he is
the big reason I wanted to say that, because I hope to butcher his last name.
He's the CEO and founder of Ruby Hibiscus, which is a growing beverage, and it's great stuff. Hibiscus, if you're not familiar, tastes like dried cherries, nice and tart, a little sweet. And if you can't tell, I am looking at Noah's website right now. Just one ingredient, no calories. It's organic. And hibiscus is full of electrolytes, so it's a great hydrator. So no sugar, vitamin C, lots of good stuff. But I'm not going to tell you everything about it because there's someone coming on that's going to tell you about it himself. So Noah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. I'm psyched to be here.
How did I do? How did I do with the name, Noah? Did I do all right?
It was okay. It was all right. Okay. I like to say it's Wunsch, like lunch with a W.
Wunsch. Okay. All right. Yeah. I like that. That.
That could be your next podcast series, which is Lunch with Wunsch.
It's actually a really good idea, and I've never thought of that. Sincerely, I'm not even like, that's actually okay. I have my action item.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, this is part of what we offer is we have our sponsorships, but there's also CPG Vibes Advisory Division that we just created 3 seconds ago. So we'll send you the bill.
Let me ask on the sponsorship side, how does it work? Like if Ruby was sponsoring the podcast, could I give you guys a script and it could be like a Dear Cherry thing where it's like, this one goes out to Mandy from Bill in Seattle. Mandy, I'm sorry I did you dirty. Like,
I love that.
Ruby. Done. Okay. Ruby signing on to sponsor something.
I was going to say, we read whatever you want us to, right, Alex? There's.
Yeah. I mean, if you're paying us, we'll read anything you want as long as it's legal at this point. I mean, our standards, our bar is like here. So you give us whatever you need us to read. You give us the product. We'll shotgun the product. We'll toss it in the air on air. I'll freaking do a drive with you probably saw the thing on like TikTok where someone drives the ball in golf, and before the ball lands, you have to shotgun the entire can in your mouth. We'll do all that and that much more, plus wear your swag, plus talk about you 3 times, beginning, middle, end, plus bring you on for 2-3 minutes.
Boom. Done. Ruby is sponsoring from here on. We're going to talk about this after, but you have at least one episode committed, but we should do a series so that, there's something weird every time.
Yeah, marketing repetition is key, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool, man. Well, we love you. We'll take you up on that and appreciate your support there. So, yeah, we don't know what the hell we're doing on the show. But we don't want to start it with like, tell us your story and how you created it at a commissary in Chicago, but just tell us about you, man. I'm really curious too, like your animation, like, when we went to find your picture, I went on Google and I found one. Thank God. I found a good one. But on LinkedIn, you have like this animated picture of like this kid with a mush. Tell us more about that story and why you do that on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. So we have this thing that we created called the Rubyverse, which is this weird little sci-fi epic about why we created Ruby, which is to battle the evil vanquisher of planets known as sugar. And we created an illustrated sci-fi universe for it from this amazing Sharmila Banerjee. And I was like, if we're going to release the illustrated universe, I need to be part of the illustrated universe too. So my LinkedIn photo is my fake version of the Chief Ruby Knot in the Rubyverse.
Is this going to turn into like a comic book series type thing where you're battling the sugar and the aliens that are bringing sugar to this earth and trying to pollute the planet with sugar, or what's going on there?
Maybe after our Series A, maybe after if we ever get a Series A or Series B done, 100%. Right. We did like some really low level versions on Instagram that like for nerds, like for deep nerds, we went really deep on it, like references to Alien, references to 2001, really deep references to Star Wars. But it's hard to really grab people's attention with a comic book version of a beverage company. So we're working on it.
I will say, Wade, I want to get your thoughts on this because it's a hot topic on AI. Let's just go into completely different direction. You think like at some point, I mean, I think it's not a think, it's no, that you can literally go online and just be like, I want to create this video. Here's the subject. Here are the lines. Here's the characters. Click, point and click. And you can create an entire mini series of video or like a comic book online, a PDF with GPT or with AI. I think that's coming, like a cheap version of being able to do that.
There's so much of that out there. I look on TikTok, and this week I think I've seen Hank Williams Jr. singing. I want to say Ice Cube. I'm not sure. It was something like that, and it's not spot on, but it's if you use your imagination, it's not far off. And I saw Eric Cartman singing several songs this week, that they used AI for. And then the other thing I saw was, and this one pulls at the heartstrings a little bit, but someone used AI to create pictures of what her son, who passed away at 5 years old from cancer, would look like as he aged. And I mean, it's just amazing, some of the stuff that I'm seeing out there. But I know people that have used it for presentations. I know companies that are using it for their correspondence with their customers back and forth. And certainly there has to be some guardrails and someone, like Geppetto behind the scenes pulling the strings. But, with the proper guardrails, I think there's a lot of potential in this space as far as what can be done. There's no question. I've personally used it a couple times. And I'm not going to go into specifics because someone might be listening, but I've had it help me a little bit with some correspondence when if you want to say something in a certain way or something like that, and I'm not copy and paste. It's just like, okay, let's see what the AI says, and it's pretty fascinating. It's really, for me, I'm a tech nerd anyway, so it's amazing.
I mean, I'll jump in with one really quick thing that is kind of one of my favorite shows, which is Black Mirror. Love that show.
Me too.
And knowing you and your imagination, sci-fi, you probably have seen it as well on Netflix.
Every season. Yeah.
Every season. And they just released a new season, like I think a month ago, that has Josh, like an actor from the 90s.
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett, and they have Aaron Paul, which is so cool to see him in a different role from Breaking Bad.
It was a good episode.
This is such a good episode. And I think it was like #1 for like 2-3 weeks, Black Mirror, when it came out. But there's one episode from the last season with Miley Cyrus about the AI where the agent, her aunt, right? I don't want to give it away, but she basically, it was the last season, I forget what episode, but she basically, Miley Cyrus was an artist, a musician, and they were fighting. So she put Miley Cyrus basically into the hospital, like made her sick, and created an AI version of Miley Cyrus, this fictional character in the show, not Miley Cyrus, but a singer played by Miley Cyrus. So like, it's interesting how Black Mirror, I love how they like predict certain things and point out certain things that obviously are an exaggeration, but it is happening on some level. Even like, what is it called? Catfishing, that whole thing. There was that episode. I don't know if you saw it from season 2, again, getting deep into this, but there's a catfishing episode where this group blackmailed people that got catfished before catfishing was even happening. This is like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So anyway, great show. Let's pivot back to you.
Look, quick question for you guys.
Yes.
Quick question for you guys. One Black Mirror episode about CPG. What is it? What's the narrative in your guys' mind? Future casting. You play the idea of, like, again, not too far in the distant future. What's the CPG narrative for a Black Mirror episode on CPG?
Wow. I'm gonna let Alex go first. Well, I think that's how I work.
Wow. So I passed off the pronunciation of his last name. You're passing this off to me.
Yeah.
It's like revenge. Let's see. I mean, I would see it as just, just how to make money. And like, it's just like, it's so hard to make money in this business, and how, like, to me, I could visualize this where you could have a small brand, and every time you create a unique product and you put it on the shelf, magically the next day there's a company that's able to copy it within one day. So like, that would be funny. Like if you create, the world's first I don't know, I'm just making this up, like hibiscus drink that has protein in it or something, or just something, whatever, that's not on the market. The next day there's like, it's called like ABC Corporate, like some really like, it could be like a name like Smithereens, like that kind of big corporate name.
Yep.
And they create a brand that goes right next to you, and they have the art of just copying you with all their resources and money. So I think that would be a cool episode.
See, I'm going a different direction. I'm taking a disgruntled salesperson who has been told no too many times by different buyers. So then he or she, they use AI to come up with a fleet of salespeople to just continually harass the buyers, like nonstop, like 24/7, email, text, everything is just
one's like knocking on your door.
Yes, just like like right out of Hitchcock, where this fleet of buyers, this army of our salespeople is just harassing every buyer known to man from the East Coast to the West Coast, and it's just like, it just goes down. I think it has potential.
I do too.
I think I know that sales guy, Wade. I'm pretty sure I actually met him. Yeah, I think mine would have to be like a mix of maybe like Soylent Green. You guys remember the Charlton Heston flick from the 1970s? They're people. That would be one. Or the other aspect would be the disintermediation of grocery employees right now. The idea that everything is being self-checkout.
Automated.
That going to the next level, where probably at the end we realize that everything has been disintermediated. The data aggregation from the self-checkout is being like a universal taxonomy, and now that has trained another grocery bot in the back end that's also a grocery CEO and everything.
Yeah,
and it's all 100%. Just bots making the decisions, which would be terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Amazon is the best comparison point to it because they're into AI, into automation.
I have no comment on that. I love Amazon. I support them in all of their grocery stores. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about that.
I love them. I love them online. But man, we just no script, just chat. But I would definitely say, and again, it's not a bad thing. It's just a way to make things more efficient, more profitable with how expensive it is to operate a retail store and how competitive it's getting. And you see this already. I mean, when I went into an Amazon Fresh, and it's not just Amazon Fresh, there's other stores too. There's only like 2 people in the store, like there's someone at the front in case you're having trouble with self-checkout. And then there's someone in the back in case you're looking for an item. And they make the store small enough to where you can navigate through everything. And if you can't find in the store, there's a computer up front to order it on Amazon, and it arrives the next day if it's shelf stable. So like I see, I'm going to one up because I love doing that. The restocking. Okay, let's go one level. The restocking is a system where everything comes from below the ground. It's like piped in like a can of beans.
It's a collaboration with the Boring Company.
It's Elon Musk meets, Jeff Bezos meets John Mackey back when he was with Whole Foods, and combining those 3 guys into one company that can do all that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I don't know if you saw this week, but a Kroger store in Franklin, Tennessee, converted to completely self-checkout, completely. So there's no, I guess they've been wanting to try it, and that particular store had such a high penetration of self-checkout use that they decided to go ahead and give it a whirl. So it's completely self-checkout, no baggers. So
crazy.
So I think when and they have plans to test it, I think, in another Tennessee store, if I'm not mistaken. But I think, Alex, you mentioned the, from a cost and all that standpoint, but I'm going to take it to the other side where I talk about the difficulty finding and hiring and maintaining consistent help. Right. And it's a concern, has been, through COVID, a little bit before COVID, but now more than ever. So going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because the store is in Franklin, Tennessee, and which isn't far from Nashville. I'd be interested to see what the average basket size is, because I think that's the biggest detriment to self-checkout is the way it's currently structured. You have to put everything on that scale and then sit it in bagging area. And then, but if you have, I don't know, $150, $200 worth of groceries, it's going to be hard to pile everything on that little pedestal. So be interesting to see how it plays out.
It is
Yeah.
super interesting. When people talk about the infrastructure and the profitability of grocery, they never talk about the HR aspect. I mean,
Right.
again, the cost of training those people when there is that turnover, that hits infrastructure. So that's super interesting.
Yeah. And to
Right.
find like people that are actually really good,
Yeah.
is just really hard. Like people that are reliable, they show up every day, they stock the shelves on time, they're in a good mood every day. As a cashier, they don't get tired when they see 300 people in one day. And I remember remember Fresh and Easy when that came out.
Yeah.
It was like 15 years ago. It was Ron Burkle, I think the CEO. He was Tesco. He's the
Right.
CEO of Tesco, and then they decided from the UK, I believe, and then they decided to try to break into the US with all self checkout, no one in the store except like one maintenance person in case something goes wrong. They come in every day and stock it. If it's out of stock, it's out of stock. There's no one really to ask, right?
Yeah.
And he was trying to automate it completely from beginning to end. Even this is before they were even really self checkouts in major stores like Kroger or Albertsons or Whole Foods or Sprouts, right? And it failed, But then, again, this is 15 years ago, right? And they closed all the Fresh and Easies. So maybe we're in a different age now where people are expecting to do self checkout. But there's something I will say. I want to cite Erewhon, right? Where Erewhon, their locations are extremely profitable, or Jimbo's, right? Just they do really, really well because there's people and they're all taken care of by the company and they feel really good to be there. And when you walk in, even though you're paying that person, whatever you're paying them, they're going to increase the basket size by being friendly, by being helpful, by referring you to areas of the store, by walking you around the store. You get to the cashier. The cashier's in a good mood. You might, buy something off the little, impulse rack. So there is something to say where Erewhon has a lot of people in their stores, and they're doing just fine.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, I want to before I ask Noah a question, I was going to just remind everyone that we do have a sponsor this week, and you want to make sure you're paying attention to what we're talking about because there'll be a question about something we're talking about at the end of the show. And this week's sponsor, Alex, is a company that can help out with social media and influencing and all sorts of stuff. So if you're a brand, you have the potential to get a pretty nice package, if I'm not mistaken, right, Alex?
Yeah. So this is an interesting new sponsor in a different arena from what we usually have done. And, with Noah on here, we wanted to pull out all the stops and do something a little bit different. So the name of his company is Fear Average Media, which alone that already makes me wonder, like, what is it, right? Fear Average. It's so interesting. And so he works with influencers. He helps with influencers, affiliate marketing, but very, very affordable. And he's going to offer as you mentioned, Wade, like a 30-minute consultation session plus a 1-month media package, which includes helping your influencer strategy and possibly, we can't claim, but that's, talk with him, getting some influencers your way as well. That's a possibility on the table to help you build your brand. So that's Fear Average Media.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I wanted to throw it out there so everybody's paying attention. So Noah, we kind of gave you a pass as far as talking about the brand and really getting into it a little bit, but Ruby Sparkling Hibiscus in a sales pitch, talk to us about it. Obviously, I talked to you about the electrolytes, and second question that just kind of rolls into is I know you've done cans, I know you've done glass. I want to talk a little bit about the differences there as far as what's going on there. So hit us with it.
Absolutely. So Ruby is the only line of organic sparkling hibiscus on the market right now. We like to say that we're one of the only organic functional sodas on the market. We don't use any artificial additives. We don't use any added sweeteners. We have functional benefits. Pardon me, I've already ruined the pitch. My God.
You got to get one of your AI guys to go out there and do it.
If I can just be back in 5 minutes, don't worry. And that's thanks to the power of hibiscus. I mean, hibiscus is this kind of miracle ingredient, and that's what turned me on to it. Aside from the electrolytes, we are one of the most richly dense and antioxidant ingredients in the world. We've tested our concentrate. We have over 2,000 polyphenols in a can. So there are a number of amazing benefits that come from it. But our whole mission really is to try to help people get off sugar if we can, or reduce their sugar consumption. because, a lot of the world talks about many other things that plague the human species, including AI. But sugar is probably the number one cause of death, unfortunately, in this country, mainly because of heart disorders that come from it. So we're really, for me, the eureka moment was finding out how much sugar was in everything I was drinking. And that made me really want to create a beverage that really was better for you.
So how did you stumble onto the hibiscus part? I mean, how did that come to play?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was at Sotheby's auction house, so it doesn't exactly align with CPG in the way that some might expect. I was looking at my diet. I started experiencing what I would call a sugar crashes because I have a bit of a sweet tooth. And I just kind of was blown away that all of these better for you beverages were just slammed with sugar. Like I'm talking 16 to 32 grams. We all know the trick where it's, per serving and there are 2 servings in a beverage and suddenly you're at 32 grams. And then I started researching non-nutritive sweeteners like stevia, erythritol, aspartame. And more than the fact that they just don't have any nutritional benefits, the thing that really kind of shook me up a little bit was how they train our palate to want sweet things. And the example I always kind of give is with spicy food. Like I love spicy food. And I remember the first time I had sriracha, it blew my head off. I just started sweating profusely. And now I like pour bottles of sriracha onto everything because my palate has been tamed to want and desire spicy things. Sweet things are exactly the same thing. If you're training your palate to want sweet, it's going to want sweet no matter what. So if you have things like stevia or erythritol that are a magnitude greater in sweetness than sugar is, like again, stevia is around 300 times greater in sweetness on your palate than sugar. While it might be broken down differently in your body, it's still training you from a pleasure system up here to want more sweet things. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question.
No, that's great. And so, Alex, you had something?
I'm just saying in general, like, I'm a skinny guy, right? I'm 6'4". Those that don't know, if you've only seen me through video, I remember when I first met Wade in person, he's like, "What the hell?" But then there was that picture where you were taller than me, Wade.
Yes, exactly.
So he grew a lot too. But I'm skinny. I run, very healthy. I have a sweet tooth as well, right? And I love sugar. I love cacao. I love Hue bars. I love Nowhere Bakery, like all these things. And I can definitely say that despite me, burning 1,000 calories an hour, it seems, from just my energy and everything and moving a lot, I still get really effed up when I have sugar, no matter what. Like unless I'm having like an apple or banana, something with some fiber in it, which kind of slows down the sugar absorption, I really feel the effects of too much sugar. And I feel like crap. I get tired. And also what's really interesting, and I got to mention this, my golf game goes to shit when I have sugar as well. Like because of my steadiness and focus, like little things, it's amplified in golf. Like, a putt, right? You can miss a putt if you're off by a centimeter. Yeah. And so like, that's another interesting thing. I noticed sugar affects performance, focus, energy, meetings, right? You cannot perform at that level if you're having too much sugar. So it's interesting. So what's your sweetener, or what do you put in Ruby Hibiscus?
So we only use organic fruit juice in 4 of our SKUs. We have 5 sparkling SKUs now. The original is literally just hibiscus and water, 0 sugar whatsoever. The blood orange, which I'm drinking right now, has just 3 grams of sugar from the organic blood orange juice we use. Concord grape, organic Concord grape juice. Berry cherry, organic berry and cherry juice. Fuji apple, organic apple juice with the hibiscus. Awesome. So at most we have 4 ingredients in each one, and that's solely for the berry cherry.
Is it more on again, I have not tried it yet, which I'm totally guilty of not doing that before the show. So I'm going to go out and buy it right now that I know more about it. The taste, I would imagine, with that little sugar with no sweetener is going to be more on kind of a tart. It's very tart, right?
Yeah. It's 100% tart.
What are customers saying? Like, is it a shock value where they're like, this is not like Olipop, which is really sweet. This is a different type of sparkling. Like, what are you hearing from customers?
Look, that actually goes back to Wade's question too, which is we used to have a line of still and we got rid of still. Like one of the things that we believe in more than anything else is field marketing. We do more demos, I like to say, than most teams out there, because when we are out there talking to our customers, they're giving us their honest feedback and they're not going to lie to us. So it completely cancels out any biases. And I'm doing a lot of those demos myself, and it's not fun when a customer comes up and is like, "This is way too tart. I don't want this," and we hear it. We hear it a lot. We certainly heard it with the still, and a lot of people said this is too tart. Put some bubbles in it, so we did. But on that note, we have a spectrum of sweetness, I would say, at this point. Like there's a reason we came out with Fuji apple and berry cherry as well. Those are definitely more on the sweet side. The Fuji apple has 10 grams of sugar from the organic apple juice. The berry cherry has 8 grams of sugar. Now, our desire is that you start at something like a Fuji apple and you slowly wean yourself off of the sugar, so to speak, down to the original, because you have to retrain your palate. But we want to make sure that we're providing for all taste flavor profiles, and that's why we have that kind of spectrum.
What's your top selling flavor?
Fuji apple.
Really?
Listen, our mission is to get people off sugar. Doesn't mean people are signing up for the mission.
Oh, that's great. Though. That's great. So obviously, you talked a little bit about your background with Sotheby's, and you're anything but old school CPG guy, right? I mean, you're kind of stumbled into it. What has been your biggest your biggest learning experience or note or what have you thus far into your journey?
Man,
because you're in such a competitive category. I mean, you're in one of, if not the most competitive category in the store. So what's been that one thing that's been like, wow, I didn't know this, or I didn't expect this going into this?
So I'm going to give two answers, and they're going to juxtapose each other or contradict. The first one is to your point, very new to CPG, but there's a playbook. And I came in questioning whether we had to adhere to the playbook. You have to adhere to the playbook, period. Like, you need to get merchandisers, you need to get brokers. It's going to cost a lot of money. It is getting just more and more competitive. But the playbook exists for a reason, and you need to adhere to the playbook. So that was learning number one. Learning number two is, if you're not going to adhere to the playbook, you have to be really, really creative. And that's where we get to have some fun. And, again, like, the playbook is the opportunity. Like, that's where we win as a brand in the long term. But for some of the opportunities we've done, like some of our collaborations, some of the cool can designs we've done, the way I kind of position it is that I think of our can as a NASCAR. So NASCAR, or an F1, because that's feeling more and more relevant. Brands pay a lot of money to put their logo on those cars, and brands pay grocery stores a lot of money to get their cans or product into the store as well. Is there a way that you can essentially use your can as a NASCAR? You're paying someone else to put your can in that store. You're getting in front of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of consumers pretty regularly. Can you find another logo to put on that can, even in a small way, to arbitrage some of your spend and potentially create a really profitable opportunity too? So those are some of the questions I like to ask myself a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's a pay to play. And that's really where we've talked about on the show pretty much ad nauseum at this point, but like the right fit, getting into the right stores where the product will move organically as much as possible. And then you kind of nudge it along a little more with like a promotion. So what's been your distribution strategy? I see the LinkedIn updates, but where are you right now? And like, what are you thinking about as far as your distribution strategy in the future?
Yeah. Our whole thing was play in your backyard. Don't expand too quickly. And I would say we probably, even though I'd say like there's probably been more opportunity for growth that we've also left hanging on the tree, but I think in another world we probably could have even done it slower, and it's pretty interesting to think about that. At this point, we're completely up and down the eastern seaboard. We're in Texas, we're in LA, we're in San Francisco, we're in Chicago, here and there in the Midwest. And that's where we are right now. So we're getting close to a national footprint. And we started pretty closely with Rainforest on the DSD side. We've built out a nice little DSD network in some of our other markets. We are with UNFI and KE now too, with certain DCs servicing them. So we're just trying to be thoughtful. To your point, Alex, like from the get-go, we did not want to be indoors where we didn't have high confidence that we would move. There's no point. It's a losing fallacy.
Yep. One other additional question I had, and putting you on just the hot seat a little bit here, right? So because Wade mentioned earlier, the competition, I mean, in any category, it's insane, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You could be in, nasal sprays, and it will be like, Afrin owns 97% of the market, but sparkling low sugar beverages, like in the last year or 2 years, have been the it thing. Olipop, Wild Wonder, Poppy, Culture Pop, Tepache, De La Caille. I mean, it goes on and on. So like, what are you banking on to say we are different? Buy us, look at us on the shelf. Like, how are you getting people to notice you in that sea of all these like sparkling beverages that are low sugar?
It's a great question. There are a few answers to it, but one is all of them are low sugar. All of them have added sweeteners. All of them usually have multiple added sweeteners, which is also like, you look at their ingredient list, there's stevia, there's usually organic cane sugar too. And usually there's erythritol or monk fruit as well. It's more often than not that you'll find multiple. So that's just one from the ingredient standpoint, because there are a lot of low sugar, but there are almost none that are low sugar with organic benefits. That's the other part. None of the ones you listed, I believe, are organic. They don't have the USDA cert. They're not using organic ingredients in them.
Yeah, only Wild Wonder. That's the only one.
Only Wild Wonder. I apologize. And that's a fantastic product as well, as are all of them. Our functional benefits are different. Like a lot of them are talking prebiotic. We are talking antioxidant and electrolyte, which is a little bit different. We do have a number of studies that prove the efficacy of those claims as well. And we've done a lot of studies on our concentrate to be able to say that we have 2,000 polyphenols in them. And the other one is, there's good and bad to this. Like our can, there we go, looks very different than anything else out there. It's extremely maximalist. It really has a vibe to it. We worked with this illustrator, and Wade, as someone who likes rock, I think you'll like this. It's this guy, Robert Beatty, who did the album cover artwork for Tame Impala, My Morning Jacket.
Nice.
Recently, The Weeknd. So like our graphics and how we talk and look is a little bit different than other brands too.
Really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I could see like kind of again, I don't know your operations, but like limited edition launches of like certain art on cans, right? Like the guy that you said did The Weeknd. I mean, that's enormous. The Weeknd's top 5 bands in the country right now. So are you able to do like limited edition drops with your current manufacturing?
Yeah, we've done a few. So there's one actually live right now on our website. And thank you, Wade, for putting the link in there. We collaborated with this amazing music venue in Brooklyn called Public Records. So we created a custom can, a custom flavor, which is a non-alc sparkling Lambrusco. We have another one coming out in September that I can't talk about. That's with a fashion company. We have another one coming out in November with another fashion company. And we're talking about something very big that I really can't talk about in November or next year. So the collaboration side is, I think it's fascinating.
So let's dig into that a little bit with as far as your strategy with that goes. So are those D2C only? Are you working those in as limited time opportunities? Or is it a rotating UPC? How are you getting these special flavors or special drops out to the mass?
So with the Public Records one, what's interesting about that is, of course, they're a venue. I mean, they're a bar, they're a restaurant, and they are a music venue. One of the best ones in Brooklyn. We were already carried in Public Records before doing the collaboration, and they hit us up saying, "Can we do something a little different together?" And we wanted to test this out, so we did. And again, with that, there's a few distribution points. Number one is Public Records. And what you have there is a guaranteed PO up front with zero trade spend, with your average share of voice, so to speak, being 100%. You have no competition on menu for that. But we also have secondary, which is we put it on Fair so that you can do, wholesale through that. And it's actually been really popular on Fair. And then there was direct to consumer. And we were very fortunate that the press cycle found this really interesting. So we got a lot of press on the collaboration, which drove really nice direct to consumer sale. For some of the other future collaborations we're working on, we are talking to grocery stores about carrying them as well. And I really am hopeful that we're going to be able to move forward with that model. But direct to consumer with set venues is kind of going to be the model.
Great. Yeah. And I think, when you look at flavors like that, as far as the retail side, it gets a little more complicated. Obviously, when you start talking about free fills and you start talking about, shelf space and yada, 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 the best scenario that I've seen, the example I would give is probably not in the category you're in, but in a frozen category like with seasonal ice cream that, when you can use that same UPC and it lives year round, like it's a seasonal, and you're going to go from your fall seasonal to your winter seasonal to your, spring seasonal to your summer seasonal, and you can just rotate so that you're not getting killed with every time a new UPC comes in or something like that. I don't know the logistics or the legalities as far as being able to do that, but I know it's a lot easier to maintain if you can go that route where you're just constantly feeding, okay, here's the new seasonal, and it can just flow from one to the other. So
100%. Yeah. The other part is white labeling for grocery stores. I mean, again, there are tons of brands out there who XYZ grocer says, I like your product, but I want my name on it. Will you guys manufacture it? And you're dealing with very small margins there, but you're dealing with margins that are profitable. So there's a plus side to that. No question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The market too, I just look at, like the comparable drink that I would think of is, when I say comparable, like similar mission, but obviously different product, probably more sugar, to be honest, is Spindrift, right? And I'm sure they have more ingredients, more additives. I haven't looked at the total ingredient list, but there's definitely a really big market for that where people want to simplify the drink and have it be like 2 ingredients or 3 ingredients, a simplicity for that. There's also a growing, and I don't know when it's going to actually affect a lot of these prebiotic sodas. I really just don't know because I just don't know enough about the category. When are people going to start revolting against the natural sweeteners? I mean, there was an article that came out about a month ago that erythritol it's been linked to strokes.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then
aspartame is a carcinogenic. I mean, it literally
goes on and on. Yeah. So I'm wondering, like stevia, all this stuff, like, is there going to be more? And then are people going to eventually look at it and go, oh, that has a sweetener. I don't like that. I'm going to go for the one that's naturally sweetened with the fruit juice. I wonder, like, when is that wave going to start? I mean, it's already starting, but when is it going to hit more like mainstream awareness?
There's a lot of money in it. I mean, that's always the danger of these things. There's a lot of money in sugar. So I don't know. I'd love for it to be tomorrow. Like, again, you're absolutely right. Erythritol, the studies came out linking it to heart disease and strokes. Aspartame is literally a carcinogenic. The one thing that I say, and it's not to correct, but like, I don't call them natural sweeteners. Natural sweeteners in my mind is similar to calling natural flavors. There's nothing natural about these. These were lab created substances. So I usually call them non-nutritive sweeteners because that's what they are. There's no nutritional value. They sweeten products. So I think even with how we are trained, though, to speak about these things, because you're not wrong calling them natural sweeteners. That's what most people call them. But it's that thing where it's like, there's a lot of money in this, and they've done a really good job of marketing them.
And I can't believe that it's still on the shelf, like at my local store. I can walk for 3 minutes. Like, I can't believe that aspartame is still in products, like right there, like, and linked to everything we're talking about, the heart disease, dementia. So something's got to change. And I think it just comes back. I mean, not to get onto a mission oriented show here, but like, if we, the consumers, are aware of this and stop buying what they put out, they'll stop making that. And I like, there was a mini victory that happened with carrageenan, which I really like to see that. I'm like, there is hope, right? That the consumer is smart enough to stop buying this crap. And, it varies right by state, varies by cultures and demographics. But I would say carrageenan, many people revolted against it enough for Califia, which is basically, a $1 billion brand at this point. They took out carrageenan, at least in the form that it was in. And then carrageenan, for those that don't know, is an emulsifier to make it basically more thick and more creamy. But what's so interesting is Califia just came out with an almond milk and oat milk with water, oats, and sea salt. And it's plenty good. Like, you have to shake it. Okay, you shake it and it'll be fine. Like, you'll be fine. Just shake the bottle, So I like how it's moving in this direction where, like, these brands, these big brands are, coming out with very simple ingredients. However, it makes it harder for the small brands now, because the small brands were like, we're unique, right? Like, my friend at Three Trees, I don't know what her sales are, right, Jenny? But like, they prided themselves on clean almond milk with only 3 ingredients. But now Califia is doing it at a lesser price because they have the scale and so there's that side of it too, where small brands are getting pushed out as the big brands are going into these really clean ingredients. So anyway.
Yeah. And PSA, first, at least on my end, Alex, not all the comments are showing up here. I'm seeing notifications over there, like Rich Monez has said a couple things that aren't showing in my stream over here, but David's just did. So I don't know if there's a way to remedy that or not, but it is what it is.
Probably not. It's StreamYard, which we love.
Yeah. So I just wanted to call that out so that if you're making comments, sometimes I'm seeing them, sometimes I'm not. So we appreciate it. And technical difficulties, Alex, you might have jinxed us at the beginning because you said coming in, you had technical difficulties. So
definitely
thank you.
All my fault.
Thank you, StreamYard. But, and I know we're getting close to our next segment, but I wanted to kind of work towards that with Noah. And, we talked about Black Mirror earlier and Crystal Ball. Let's take that Black Mirror reference back and say, okay, you're going through a portal in 5 years from now, the year's 2028. Where's Noah? Where's Ruby Hibiscus? What do you see the brand, yourself? Where do you go in 5 years?
I mean, again, there's 2 answers to those questions, and that's always going to be the honest.
This is like a choose your own adventure.
It is a choose your own adventure, 100%. If I could choose my own adventure, I'm going to choose one of those paths. Okay. But no, look, there's 5 years from now, there's one world where Ruby resonates with consumers. We are understood for our value prop, which I very candidly, we need to do a better job of. And that has been feedback from grocery buyers as well. And we're taking that feedback to heart. We're going to work on that. And we've done a better job of that 5 years from now, obviously. We have mass scale. 5 years, we're probably still not acquired, but we're probably in an area where we have a national footprint. And hopefully we're sticking to our product integrity. That's the biggest thing in my mind. A lot of companies grow and they change what their integral points, for the product really were. And then going into the second part, there's the other world where we fail. And that's the majority of companies, period. But hopefully, if I look back, we maintained our product integrity. It goes to your point, Alex, on a lot of big brands coming out, little brands are getting crushed by them. I play this out a lot. Like, I have to think about failure a lot. And I do think, what are the things that I can be really proud of if I do fail? And number one is definitely that we put out a product with integrity that is actually good for people. And I think that's a rare thing. And I'm really proud of that. So, in the realm where I fail, I'm doing something different. I'm getting my professional path has been media to technology to art, luxury to CPG. So I love trying new things out and learning about industries. Yeah. If we succeed, I imagine I'll have a very long and lasting career in CPG, hopefully, while still exploring other curiosities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, I know we have to get to our next segment, Wade, but one thing I'll mention too, just to hit off of Noah's point, Ryan O'Donnell at Salty, such a great example where he, just like you, followed his heart. He actually started the company under a different name called Shakti, and then he left it and it was called Salty and it was like failing. Then he came back and now they're he's posted this, so I can say this publicly. I think they're at 30 million now.
Yeah, they're crushing. I see them flying in the market.
They're doing really well. And because it's a really inspiring story, and just like Coconut Cult, right, where they did not sacrifice or compromise ingredients or quality. They followed their hearts and just kept going. And they're like, you know what? If it fails, fuck it. At least I gave it my all, and I released a product with integrity that I know is actually helping people day to day be healthier and feel better. So like they go to sleep at night knowing success, that's the icing on the cake. If I fail, I know that I gave it my all and made a great product. And so it's really cool to see Salty at a $4.99, $5.99 price point, double the price of Suja, but they're differentiated and it's working. People are buying it. So,
right. So we did have a question from David Delcourt as far as where you can find Ruby in Colorado, and using my multi-screen here, Rich Mona's asked about Canada as well.
Awesome. 2 answers. Colorado, you're the 3rd person to ask today, which is like there's something in the water. Not really any place in Colorado yet. We're in like 1 or 2 stores that are boutiques.
Natural grocers.
It's on our store locator. We're not in natural grocers yet, but we are talking to them. But otherwise, Amazon, I hate to say, or Thrive Market, or our website, ruby.fun.
Cool. And the other question?
Canada. Oh, in Canada. Canada, it's a tough one. We can ship to Canada from our website. The only place we're really in Canada is Danny's Pizza Tavern in Toronto. Shout out to Danny Barna, because he's going to be watching this. He loves the CPG vibes.
Nice.
Danny's Pizza Tavern, or on our website, and just shoot us an email and we'll work out the shipping.
So I'm intrigued. Danny's Pizza, is that's a restaurant or
oh yeah,
it's not a retail CPG. It's
best restaurant in Toronto.
So how did that happen that you're in that establishment?
Well, Danny's a homie. Danny, I used to work with his brother at a fashion magazine called Bullet, and he opened up Danny's Pizza Tavern last year, and it's crushing it. Like it's a really great account for us. So I'm very grateful to Daniel. But that's where we're at.
Well, once you're in, Sobeys and all these big chains in Canada in like a few years, there could be a little plaque at Danny's Pizza Tavern that says Ruby was here first.
100%. I strive for that.
Let's go into our next segment here, which is stuff we love. I know we're running over on time here, so I'm going to make this. There we go. It was like loading. I'm like, why? This StreamYard, baby. All right. So mine really quick. Let me just talk about things we love that's in our pantry that we're drinking right now. So I don't really, and the label's falling off because it's dripping a lot. Stumptown cold brew coffee. It's really good. I never like coffee, but this is pretty damn good and clean. And Stumptown, I think, is in Portland, I believe. So I love it, and the branding is pretty cool. So that's mine.
I don't have it in front of me because I ate the bag, but I've been, and I don't think I put this up last week. I've been stuck on these things, and it's Alex, this is not for you. Did I talk about this last week?
Is that the bacon thing?
No, this is these are chicken skin chips.
Definitely right up my alley.
I have to apologize. It's just like The Odd Couple, right? It's like he has his thing, I have mine.
Yeah.
They're so damn good.
See, white and black.
They're so damn good. But I've been snacking on this a little bit. It's obviously high in protein. They have a Nashville hot flavor that I really like. But that's me. So
you're really all about that Nashville hot, just like Daily Crunch.
Yes, that's a great flavor. What do you got, Noah? You have anything you've been big on lately besides Ruby Hibiscus?
There's this nut company called Karma that I've been loving. They do
with a K. Karma
with a K. Yeah, they do skin on cashews, and they're delicious. They're healthy, but like they've got this golden turmeric SKU that's also nice and spicy. It's got a little heat to it. I can't stop eating them. Every single day I have probably 2 bags.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good grab and go. I actually saw, I'm not diminishing it at all, but the place I've seen it was at my local gas station.
That's an interesting place for it. I would not have expected that.
And by the way, I just want to clarify, because I have an electric car. It's a car wash. It's a gas station within a car wash. So I go there just to pay for my car wash, and I do not buy gas. So just wanted to say that. So Cool. All right. So Carmen nuts. Awesome
Yeah.
stuff. So we're going to go to our next segment here, and this is Friday freebies.
Friday freebies.
Okay, so as mentioned, we first need to mention our permanent sponsor. So that's V-Driven. So V-Driven is a CPG partner for emerging purpose-driven brands. They fuel growth for innovation and have proven strategies and support every phase of the retail journey, which, as Noah says, you got to do it. It's pay to play. It's the playbook. You got to be in retail. You got to grow your brand in certain ways, right? In responsible ways as well. So V-Driven does that. They also help with trade spend deduction, which is part of the very back of the playbook that a lot of founders miss. And they also help with strategy on getting into accounts. They have great relationships with buyers. They also do accounting. They do your books if you want, and they actually manage it on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. They can send bills out. They can, help you pay bills, all these things. So they're really a soup to nuts suite of services. So that's vdriven.com. That's V as in Victor. V as in velocity actually is better. Driven, DRIVEN.com. And you can also contact Luke Abbott, and I'm going to beat you to it. Wade, come on, Lee. Oh, you already got it. Damn you. Damn it. All right. I'm never going to get ahead on that one.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to see if I can somehow, some way I can put this in the chat. They had a master class on deduction management recently, and you can go back and watch the entire, I think it was 45 minutes to an hour. And man, it's going to be time well spent if you're in the space, because it's really is truly they're calling it a master class, but it was really good. I mean, I watched it back this morning actually, and just some great tips there. I'm going to put the link in right now for you to check that out. Doesn't cost anything, but there's a reason why Alex. Aside from the fact that they're our own ongoing sponsor, but even still. There's a reason why we tout them every week, and you can go into this link. I think you just have to put your email in. Doesn't cost anything. You can watch that deduction management piece that Luke and the team put together, and it's just so many insightful things that they talked about in that 45 minutes. So I'd encourage everybody to check it out.
Yeah, it could mean the difference between running out of money or not running out of money, because the trade spend deductions can really add up, and they'll eat you alive unless you pay attention to them and fight them in the right way. So really important. And then our sponsor for this week, again, we're doing something really freaking different, just like Ruby Hibiscus, right? Like this is a product like no other we've ever had on the show. This is Fear Average Media. That is the name of the company, Fear Average Media, FAM for short. And they basically, Jamil Martinez, I've talked to this guy. They're headquartered in Florida. I've been getting to know him for the last 2 months. And I just found out this guy's legit. He has a influencer agency, which we all need, but they're so expensive. Like if you pay an influencer, it's a lot of money, right? To promote your product sometimes if they have a lot of followers. He has a package where it's way more affordable than that. And you can connect with influencers or affiliate programs and really come out ahead if you have the right influencer. And that's really what he focuses on. Is he's like, in my first conversation with him, he didn't pitch me on what he does. He asked me, what is your product? Who's your target market? Who's your ideal influencer? What area of the countries are you in? Like he was asking those questions to customize and custom tailor influencers that work well for your brand. So that's what he does. He customizes it. He makes sure he wants it to be as successful as possible with exposure and conversions and sales. So he's offering a 1-month free media package, which includes an affiliate program and also potential influencers or influencer strategy. He's going to tell you more about that, Jamil. And also a 30-minute consultation on how to build your follower following. That's even the right way to put it, for your brand. So that is Fear Average Media. There's the website down there. And as always, we kick it off, Noah, with a question. Something that was mentioned during this episode. And by the way, the winner, we like to be a brand, but if it's not a brand, we'd ask that you donate it to a brand because they're the ones that can really benefit off the service from Fear Average Media. So, Noah, question that you can think of that's obscure, difficult to answer that you mentioned, a fact, a number, a place, whatever, and someone will try to answer it to win the prize.
And hopefully we see the comments come through. That's going to be the challenge.
Yeah, I'm actually looking on LinkedIn itself.
Good.
So I think David Delcourt has a 50% chance of winning this.
All right, this is a difficult one. I'm gonna go really difficult on this. When we were talking about the Black Mirror episode, I made a movie reference, which you knew, Alex, right away, and we both said they're humans, they're people. What was the movie reference?
Nice.
Great question.
Very good. Well, we're waiting for the answers hopefully to come up, or you're monitoring that, Alex. We usually talk about what we're doing this weekend, and Noah and I were talking before the show came on, but I'm actually headed to a concert this weekend, Alex, surprise, in about 2 hours away in the mountains here. And I've seen him before. I think we've talked about him on the show before, but it's JJ Gray and Mofo. He's really soulful, bluesy. Just I think I don't know how many states I've seen him in now. Probably more than I can count, but we've probably seen him in half a dozen states at this point. But so we get to see him tomorrow, and the opening act is Dawes. So if you're a alternative rock fan, you might know Dawes.
Dawes is great.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to it. So that's tomorrow. But that's all we're doing. How about you, Alex?
Awesome stuff. Enjoy. Nothing big. I'm just playing golf with Meta World Peace tomorrow.
Nothing big. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
And we're going to film it. It's going to be on social media. We have we have a camera crew of 3 people, part of Coven Video Productions, a local company here that does video productions and captures stories. And they're just going to, and then we're also going to do Instagram. Okay, Dan, by the way, Dan Barnes got it. I see the comment here. So I'm going to stop what I'm saying for a second.
I do see that.
So cpgvibes100@gmail.com if you'd like to claim your prize, and we'll connect you with Jamil and you beat me to it again, at Fear Average Media.
Trying to help, Alex. Trying to help.
Yeah, definitely. I got to lay off doing that part because you're really good at it and fast. So, but anyway, we're going to have an Instagram live on Genius _juice of the tee off, the very first tee, Meta World Peace teeing off, and then me teeing off. But here's the catch. It's at 5:50 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, you can make it. Mountain Time, maybe, and Central, definitely not. So, but then we're also going to have another Instagram live on the turn, which is on hole number 10. And we're going to be playing at a course in LA. So it's going to be a great course. There you go. That's what I'm doing.
Noah.
I am going to be doing a movie screening tomorrow night with J. Crew and Noah New York in Amagansett. Ruby is sponsoring it. So we're doing a movie screening of Best in Show, and I'm going to be behind the table handing out some Ruby to folks.
Love it.
Awesome.
That's fantastic.
It's like digging deep in your backyard, man. I mean, if you can, there's a brand that's in San Francisco called, it's funny, it's called Genesis Juice. So I remember seeing it when we first launched Genius Juice. And they're just in San Francisco. I mean, they're not trying to take over the world, but they do all these events and like marathons and like community events and nonprofit events. And it just flies off the shelf because everyone knows it as a local hero. So,
yeah. Athletic Brewing Company is like the shining gold standard in my mind. We do marathons in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Every single marathon we do, there's someone from Athletic there. And, it's not like a huge tent or anything. There's just one person with a cooler handing out Athletic. And it's like, you can be the biggest company in the world, but so long as you're just handing out those cans and building community, it's a huge opportunity.
Exactly. And you don't have to take over like every single region. You just dig deep in the ones that matter. So very cool. All right. Well, I think with that, we are good for this week, episode 78 with special guest Noah Wunsch.
Nailed it.
Soon coming to a screen near you, Lunch with Wunsch podcast. I'll be a guest on that. Wade will be a guest. We'll make it happen.
Your first two episodes are done. They're
done.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
In the books. So right, everyone. So take good care. Stay cool out there. I know it's going to be a record-setting heat extravaganza over the weekend, and I'm sure it'll be hot out there at the concert too, Wade. So stay cool.
We're going to
out
mountains.
there.
It's cooler there.
Oh, it's in the mountains. Much
Yes.
better.
Yes.
And Noah, good to have you on, buddy. Thanks for sharing your story.
Appreciate
it.
All right. So Wade, take care, buddy. Love you.
Love you, buddy. Have a good weekend, guys.
We'll see you next week, Friday, same time, 2:30, 5:30 Eastern. And I got to say, our guest next week as well, Jennifer Stojkovic, and she is with Vegan Women's Summit. So that's going to be a cool episode. All right. Thanks, everyone.